She's 15, a factory cleaner from Detroit with nothing but a broken lamp, a rusted toolbox, and her mother's layoff haunting her. While sweeping beneath a dead server rack, Mia sketches an AI fix using wire scraps. A Harvard engineer laughs until her model works, mocked, tested, then stunned silent. Will they believe the girl who fixes what no one else can? Mia bent over a pile of crushed cardboard behind the recycling bin, fingers numb from Detroit's cold. She pulled out a torn tech manual, pages missing, the cover stained with oil, but her eyes lit up. "Look what I found, Mom!" she shouted, racing across the gravel lot, nearly slipping on the ice. Inside the trailer, her mother sat on the edge of the fold-out bed, sewing another patch into her work shirt. "Is that another one of those junk books?" she asked, smiling tiredly. Mia nodded. "It's from McCarthy Robotics, real company stuff. Their AI section's still here, see?" The trailer groaned as the wind pushed against its aluminum walls. A pot of rice simmered on a single burner, filling the space with warmth. The light from the desk lamp flickered, the bulb taped into place. Her mother leaned over. "Just make sure you can still help me at the plant this weekend, okay? They're short again. And if I lose this job too—" Mia nodded, quieter now. "I'll help. I promise." That night, after washing dishes in a chipped plastic tub, Mia lay on the floor, flipping through the manual, scribbling equations into a notebook with corners chewed by time. Her desk was a cracked milk crate, her white board a flattened cereal box, taped to the wall. There was something about patterns, data flows, decision loops, training matrices that made her fingers itch. It was like music she couldn't hear, but could still feel. Next morning, as her mother headed to the night shift at the plant, she paused at the door. "Don't stay up too late, Mia. You've got school tomorrow." Mia didn't look up from her cereal box equations. "I will. I think I see something." By day, Mia sat in the back of a rundown high school, mostly quiet. Teachers barely noticed her. Her clothes were plain, her shoes hand-me-downs with worn-out soles. But at night, she transformed. She took apart old phones, rewired toaster guts, and built logic trees from coat hangers and string. Her mother once joked, "You've turned my laundry basket into a motherboard." Mia grinned. "It's a neural net, Mom." Then came the twist. Late one Sunday, she joined her mom at the robotics plant. The two of them scrubbed floors under the humming servers and machines. Near the back, Mia spotted a stack of rejected parts and broken interfaces. Among them was a partially lit display screen flashing a strange error loop. Curious, she sat beside it, hands still in gloves. The error message repeated every 11 seconds. She counted. Then again, same interval. Her brow furrowed. "That's not random," she whispered. She looked closer. The output logs didn't align. Something was mimicking randomness. Bad code, maybe. She pulled a crumpled receipt from her pocket and started drawing. Her mother, mopping nearby, called out, "You okay, honey?" Mia looked up. "I think this machine isn't broken. It's just stuck in the wrong pattern." Her mother laughed gently. "You and your patterns. Just don't burn your eyes out before high school's over." But Mia kept drawing. That glitch, it looked familiar, like a loop she'd seen in the manual last week. A flaw in early machine learning feedback systems, barely mentioned in the footnotes. That night, she stayed up past 2, wiring her coat hanger logic tree. She tested new loop sequences with flashlight beams and paper circuits. Her fingers cramped, her eyes burned, but the pattern held. When her mother found her curled asleep on the floor the next morning, notebook under her cheek, she didn't wake her. She just looked at the cereal box equations taped to the wall. In the middle of it all, taped carefully like a trophy, was the rusted screw Mia had pulled from the broken interface. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers, and in its worn, twisted metal, it held the start of something no one saw coming. The rusted screw was still taped above Mia's bed, next to a new sheet of paper. Her equations had grown. More symbols, tighter loops, arrows weaving like rivers. She was getting faster, sharper. Her coat hanger model now had 5 nodes, each wrapped in foil and a string. "Your circuits are getting wild," her mom said one morning, setting down toast on the counter. "One day, they'll build a building shaped like that thing." Mia smiled, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. "It's a feedback delay. If you loop the wrong input at the wrong time, the whole system eats itself." Her mom raised a brow. "And that's bad?" "Very." 2 days later, a flyer appeared on her high school bulletin board. Harvard Robotics Department, open seminar, public welcome. Mia tore the bottom slip before anyone else could. Saturday, she wore her best hoodie and patched jeans, the ones without holes in the knees. Her notebook came too, full of bent pages and coffee stains. She sat in the back of the hall, quiet, unnoticed. Professors shuffled papers. Grad students tapped on sleek laptops. At the front, a tall man in a gray blazer adjusted his mic. "We've encountered a persistent failure in our adaptive learning module," he said. "Every attempt at self-correction results in catastrophic recursion. We've paused the project indefinitely." Mia leaned forward. Her heart pounded. Another professor spoke. "The algorithm collapses on itself within 30 cycles. We tried weighting the error vector, rerouting. Nothing works." They pulled up graphs, endless loops, fractal spirals of data failure. Mia's hand went to her pocket. The pattern, they were describing the exact glitch she'd seen in the broken interface. She whispered to herself, "I know that spiral." On the way out, she bumped into a student. Her notebook fell open. "Sorry," the girl said, then paused, frowning. "Is that your writing?" Mia nodded. The student stared. "You really shouldn't be here." Mia flinched but picked up her book. "I heard something I can't ignore." That night, she replayed the seminar in her mind, over and over. The symbols, the loops, the way the second professor's voice cracked when he said indefinitely. She opened her notebook, ripped out a fresh page, drew the loop, then the fix, then the delay insertion point she'd tested with her flashlight circuit. Her coat hanger model needed a 6th node. She pulled one from a busted clothes rack, wrapped it in copper wire, pulled from an old phone charger. In the silence, she whispered, "You're not broken. You're just repeating the wrong memory." At school, no one cared. At home, her mother worked double shifts. But Mia couldn't sleep. She needed data, proof. The public library had an old desktop computer, slow but functional. Mia typed with shaking fingers, searching the Harvard department's research site. The project was there, Obsidian 3. She downloaded the white paper, 67 pages. She printed it using all the credits on her library card. Walking home, pages flapping in the wind, she felt like she was carrying fire. She laid it all on the floor. Her notebook, her cereal box models, the white paper. She didn't move for hours, and then she saw it. A line buried on page 44. Loop decays within recursive training may originate from overfitted feedback on dynamic pathways. Mia sat up. They missed it, she whispered. Her fix wasn't just a guess. It was aligned. She grabbed a pen, circled the line, drew arrows from her own sketches. By sunrise, her room looked like a battlefield. Papers everywhere, flashlight out of batteries, her hand stained with ink. But the sixth node held, and taped above it, beside the rusted screw, was the newest symbol of her resilience. The library printout, folded in half, edges torn, circled in red. She looked at it and whispered, "They'll see, I just need to show them." She didn't know how yet, but she knew one thing: the problem they called unsolvable was already solved. The rain came sideways on Tuesday night, rattling the trailer walls like a warning. Mia sat cross-legged on the linoleum floor, lit only by the flicker of her desk lamp, still taped together with masking tape and hope. Her coat hanger model stood in front of her like a sculpture. 6 wired nodes, foil wrapped, connected by thread. But something was off. She stared at the cereal box equations taped to the wall. Her fix worked in theory, but the machine she'd seen at the plant, the one with the loop error, had more moving parts. "I see it differently now," she whispered. She picked up a spoon from the sink. It was slightly bent, just enough. She wrapped a copper wire around it, then hooked it into the 4th node of her model. The light blinked. A shift. She leaned closer. "It's time delay," she said out loud. "It's not just error, it's the memory lag. They're training the wrong moment." Her voice cracked. She'd said it like someone might be listening, but the only sound was the rain. That night, her mom came home later than usual. Her uniform was soaked through. "Place shut down for 2 hours," she sighed, kicking off her shoes. "Machine jammed again. Same line, same glitch." Mia froze. "Was it Obsidian?" Her mom raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. How'd you know?" I think I fixed it." Her mom laughed, but gently. "Well, maybe you should tell Harvard that." Mia didn't respond. She was already pulling on her coat. "Where are you going?" "Back to the plant." The factory was dark after hours. Mia entered with her mom's spare badge, her hood low, boots quiet. The hallway lights buzzed overhead, some flickering. She moved past the locker rows, the vending machines, the yellow tape near the failed unit. Obsidian 3 sat behind the caution sign, wires coiled like frozen snakes. Mia crouched. The display still flashed the same loop. She pulled her notebook from her coat and laid it open on the floor. Her fingers shook as she ran a single stripped wire between 2 access panels. Not to interfere, just to mirror. She wasn't rewriting anything, just watching. The lights blinked again. She counted. 11 seconds? Then a stutter. But this time, it wasn't random. The input burst was following her diagram. She could see it. "It's feeding the delay into the loop," she whispered. "Not failing, just too early." She stood, breathless. Her model wasn't broken. It was right. The door behind her creaked. "Hey!" A man in a lab coat entered, holding a clipboard. His eyes narrowed. Who are you? You can't be here. Mia stepped back. I'm sorry, He walked over fast, grabbed the notebook, flipped through it. You wrote these? She nodded. He stared at the pages, sketches, timing charts, red circled equations. Where did you get this data? From the loop. What loop? The one your machine's stuck in. It's not recursion. It's a timing mismatch. You're capturing the wrong edge of the memory call. He froze. That's not how we do it, he said slowly. But it works? Mia pointed to the screen. Look, it skipped the 12th cycle. The decay didn't initiate. He didn't speak, just stared. Then he ran out of the room. Mia stood there, alone, notebook clutched in one hand, the spoon still wired into her model in the other. The symbol had changed now, no longer just a rusted screw, not just a library printout. Now it was this, a notebook pulled from a coat pocket under factory lights, held up by someone who was supposed to be invisible. She walked home in the rain, and behind her, for the first time in weeks, Obsidian 3 blinked and stayed green. The next morning, Mia sat on the edge of her mom's bed, notebook pressed to her chest, still damp from the rain. Her mother poured coffee into 2 chipped mugs, watching her closely. You okay? Mia nodded. I fixed it, Mom. I really did. Her mom handed her the mug. Then they'll listen. They have to. But the call came first, from Harvard. A clipped voice, invitation to campus, bring your model. No thanks, no encouragement, just cold curiosity. The lecture hall was full, bright lights, polished floors, rows of suits, blazers, polished glasses. Mia stepped onto the stage, holding her model wrapped in a dish towel. She wore her cleanest sneakers, hair pulled back tight, trying not to sweat through her only decent shirt. A professor with silver hair and sharp eyes stood at the podium. This, he said to the crowd, is the individual who claims to have resolved the Obsidian failure. Mia's eyes scanned the crowd. No smiles, just doubt. She unwrapped the model, the coat hangers, the foil, the spoon still bent into the 6th node. Someone laughed, loud. She built that? What is this? 3rd grade science fair? More laughter followed. Mia's throat tightened. Her fingers clutched the edge of her notebook. I didn't build it to be pretty, she said quietly. I built it because it works. The silver-haired professor raised an eyebrow. You solved recursive decay in a feedback loop? Yes. With a spoon? With timing and memory correction. He turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, a cleaner from Detroit claims to have corrected what 3 teams of doctoral engineers could not. The laughter grew. Mia turned to her model, hands shaking. They laughed, but I won't stop. From the back, someone cleared their throat. A younger professor, sleeves rolled, stepped forward. He pointed at her notebook. May I? Mia handed it over. He flipped through the pages, slowed, looked up. These aren't guesses. These are differential time markers. The room quieted slightly. She mapped our error margins by hand, he added, from raw observation. The silver-haired professor frowned. That's impossible. These results were unpublished. Mia spoke. I watched the loop in the factory. Your interface was still running behind the caution tape. Silence. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I saw the same error flash every 11 seconds. I matched the decay pattern to your training lag. Whispers rippled through the room. The silver-haired professor stepped closer. Miss Mia, is it? She nodded. He glanced at the notebook, then back at her. This is a serious academic environment. We don't endorse fantasy. Mia lifted her model. I'm not asking for endorsement, just to be heard. Another laugh. A janitor's daughter? Explaining machine learning to Harvard? The silver-haired professor stepped forward again. Tell you what, you run your model right here, right now. If it fails, you leave. No more calls, no more notebooks. Understood? Mia froze. Her heart pounded. Then she looked at her mother, sitting quietly near the back, holding her purse on her lap, watching, not blinking. Mia turned back. Fine, she said, but if it works, you listen. The silver-haired professor smirked. Deal. Mia stepped to the table, connected the foil wires, aligned the nodes, pointed her flashlight at the entry signal. 1 second, 2. The spoon caught the light. The final node blinked green. Then again and again. No decay. The loop held. The silver-haired professor stared, mouth slightly open. Mia said nothing, just closed her notebook. Behind her, her mother whispered, That's my girl. In that moment, the symbol wasn't the spoon or the model. It was the silence, the stunned silence of a room that had just realized the cleaner's daughter was the only one who had solved what they couldn't. The next morning, Mia sat outside the Harvard robotics lab, notebook on her knees, eyes fixed on the floor. Her coat hanger model was in her backpack, wrapped in the same dish towel. The spoon node had bent slightly from travel. She didn't touch it, not yet. Inside, the room buzzed, screens blinked, data scrolled, professors whispered, grad students circled like hawks. Then he walked in. Professor Klein, the silver-haired man from yesterday. Crisp suit. No smile. Bring her in, he said, not looking up. Mia stood. Walked in slowly. He pointed to a corner of the room. A black monitor. No mouse, just code. Lines and lines of it. This, he said, is the real system. Obsidian 3's live core. If your theory works, you'll fix it. Here. Now. In front of us. She looked at the screen, her hands tensed. You get 1 hour, he added. Prove it or leave. A hush fell. Mia whispered, Okay. Klein leaned in. You think this is some after-school project? This system handles $1.5 billion in industrial AI. One mistake, and factories freeze. People lose jobs. You ready for that pressure? Mia's fingers tightened around her notebook. I've already lived through it, she said quietly. My mom was laid off last winter. Same loop, same machine. He said nothing. Mia stepped toward the monitor, unzipped her bag, pulled out the notebook and opened it on the desk. Pages frayed, some barely holding to the spine. She adjusted the flashlight in her hand, her stand-in for input signal, then opened the code editor. A young grad student scoffed. She's using print statements? Seriously? Mia ignored it. She scanned the lines, traced the feedback loop in her mind, saw the same spiral, then paused. The loop wasn't the problem. The timestamp was. She drew a new line in her notebook, labeled it T-shift equals delta input lag, then typed slowly, carefully, injected the correction. The clock ticked. 40 minutes left. Behind her, the room grew louder. She's stalling. She's lost. Waste of time. But she didn't flinch. Mia rewired the recursive function, added a wait condition, just milliseconds, but enough. At 20 minutes left, the code compiled. She hit run. The screen blinked, then blinked again. No loop, no crash. The system held. A slow gasp rolled through the room. Professor Klein stared. Mia turned around. Her voice didn't shake. I used recycled parts, bent spoons, cereal boxes, but I saw what you missed. He stepped forward. You shifted the call memory to post-train. Yes? You delayed error waiting until third cycle. Yes? You're not a student? I'm still solving the problem. For a moment, no one said anything. Then he slammed his hand on the table. Not good enough. The grad students jumped. Mia blinked. You think one lucky guess earns respect? He shouted. No, you want to play in this room? Then finish it. Build it from scratch with our data. No spoons, no wires, just code. Her chest tightened. You have until morning, he added. If you fail, you walk, and you never come back. Mia picked up her notebook, its spine cracking slightly under the pressure. I'll show you, she said. She walked out without waiting. Outside, her mother stood at the edge of the lawn, holding a bag of food. How did it go? Mia didn't answer right away. She sat beside her on the bench. They laughed again, she said. Then they challenged me. Her mom looked at her gently. Then you've got them scared. Mia took the food, but didn't eat. That night, she sat in the corner of the library, floor lamp buzzing overhead, typing for hours. Fingers numb, the worn notebook sat open beside her. A new page, a clean one. The top line read, "From nothing." She wasn't writing from memory now. She was building something they couldn't take away. Mia didn't sleep that night. She found an empty corner in the university library behind a column near a broken radiator that hissed like a sleeping machine. Her mom had slipped her a thermos of coffee and a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in wax paper. The worn notebook was open beside her, half full now, its spine held together with tape and hope. She stared at the screen in front of her, a borrowed laptop. Old, slow, donated to the public tech room by someone long forgotten. Line by line, she rebuilt the model. No coat hangers, no foil, just code. But halfway through, the terminal froze. Mia slapped the side of the machine. Come on, she whispered. Nothing? She closed her eyes. Her head throbbed. Her fingers ached. She pulled out a pencil, its eraser nearly gone, its body cracked near the middle. Still sharp. She started sketching again. A new path, recursive loop isolation, error delay catch, neural gate rewrite. Her breath was shallow but steady. I won't give up, she said under her breath. I don't care what they think. At 3 a.m., she rewired the model in code. No borrowed circuits, no flashlight triggers, just logic. She pressed run. Nothing. Then a flash of output. Too fast. She scrolled back. There it was. The loop held for 32 cycles. No crash. Mia stared, hands trembling. It's not a theory anymore, she whispered. It's a system. Footsteps behind her. She turned. It was the younger professor from earlier, the one with rolled-up sleeves. He leaned on the table, looking at the code. You built this here? Mia nodded. He squinted. You delayed the self-correction sequence, just enough to outrun the decay. I had to, she said. There was no memory buffer in the original code. I used weighted loop resistance instead. He didn't speak for a moment. Then, quietly, that's not how we do it. But it works. He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded piece of paper. I brought this, in case you were still here, he said. It's Professor Klein's signature access clearance. Lab at 7 a.m. You'll show the board your build. Mia took it. Her fingers left a slight coffee ring on the corner. I don't have a suit, she said quietly. Bring your notebook, he said. That's your suit. He started to walk away, then turned back. You remind me of someone, he said. Someone who built things before she knew what rules she was breaking. Mia looked down at her pencil, the cracked one. She tapped it twice on the notebook. When he was gone, she whispered, I'm doing this for her. She looked out the window. The sky was just starting to turn. Back at the trailer, her mom was sitting by the stove, still in her uniform, waiting. Mia came in quietly, dropped her bag on the floor. Her mom stood. Well? Mia smiled, weak but full. I have 7 hours, and I think I know what I'm doing. Her mom wrapped her arms around her, held her close. You're doing this for us, she whispered. Mia nodded. Then she pulled the broken pencil from her pocket and placed it gently on the counter. Another symbol, not sharp, not perfect, but it had drawn the first working loop, and she'd kept it. That morning, as the sun came up over Harvard's towers, Mia walked through the gate, notebook under her arm, code in her head, and just one word on her lips. Ready? The auditorium filled fast, rows of faculty, industry guests, reporters with cameras, students leaning forward, whispering. At the center, one chair sat empty, marked presenter. At 7:59 a.m., Mia walked in. No blazer, no slides, just a worn backpack and the same cracked notebook tucked under her arm. She stepped to the front. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes didn't flinch. Professor Klein stood by the console, arms crossed, no expression. This is your moment, he said flatly. You wrote the code. Let's see if it lives. Mia nodded. She plugged in the USB drive, clicked compile. The screen blinked. The room fell silent. And then the loop ran. Cycle 1, 2, 3. No error. Cycle 8, 12, 21. Still holding. Professor Klein leaned forward. His fingers gripped the table. Cycle 32. Green. A quiet gasp from the back row. One of the lead researchers stood. That's impossible. Klein didn't move. It's not recursion, he said under his breath. It's selective memory gating. Mia turned to the audience. I delayed the feedback node by half a cycle. The system stops eating its own history. That's all? The younger professor stepped into view. It's not just all, it's everything. Someone in the front row stood and clapped once, then twice. Soon the entire room was on its feet. Cameras clicked. People shouted questions. Where did you study? Are you a student here? How did you even access the system? Mia held up her notebook. I studied here, she said softly. Right here, on this paper, with broken pencils, in a trailer in Detroit. A voice called out from the side. What's your name? She straightened. Mia Ramirez. Klein stepped forward, his voice low but clear. I owe you an apology, he said. I didn't see it coming. I didn't want to see it, but I see it now. Mia looked down at her shoes. I just wanted someone to look, she said. In the back, her mother stood in the doorway, still wearing her night shift jacket. Her hands covered her mouth. Mia saw her, smiled through tears. "I did it," she whispered. The younger professor turned to Klein. Her fix didn't just solve the loop, it stabilized 3 other subsystems. We were blind. Klein nodded, slowly. "Not anymore." He turned to the crowd. "This code will be used across all Obsidian models starting today. And this young woman," he paused, glancing at Mia, "is the reason why." A reporter stepped forward. "What was your breakthrough moment?" Mia looked at her hands, then at the bent spoon in her pocket. "I was cleaning under a broken interface," she said, "and I saw the loop, not in numbers, in rhythm, like it was trying to speak. So I listened." Silence again, but not of doubt, of awe. Her mother made her way to the front, eyes wet. She reached for Mia's hand. "You never stopped," she whispered. Mia squeezed back. "I couldn't. Not after what happened to you. This was for you." The crowd watched, quiet, moved. One student leaned to another. "She's not like the others." "No," the other replied. "She's better." On the table beside the console, Mia placed her cracked notebook. Its cover was worn, its spine barely holding, but it was whole, a symbol of everything that couldn't be erased. And behind her, for the first time, Mia didn't feel like she was visiting Harvard. She felt like she belonged. The hallway was quiet, just her footsteps. Mia walked slowly through the Harvard lab, past glowing terminals and hushed conversations. Her notebook was still tucked under her arm, though she didn't need it right now. Professor Klein had asked for a meeting, private. She found him alone in his office, staring out the window, hands behind his back. "You wanted to see me?" He nodded without turning. "I've spoken to the board," he said. "They want to offer you a scholarship, immediate placement." Mia didn't move. "I haven't finished high school." Klein turned. "Then finish it, here. We'll make space." She sat down slowly. "Why now?" Klein hesitated. "Because talent like yours doesn't wait. And because I was wrong." He studied her face. "But before we go forward, I want to know why. Why this mattered so much to you." Mia looked down at her hands, then at the cracked pencil sticking out of her backpack. She took a breath. 2 years ago, my mom worked at Noratech, another plant she trained the newer machines. One day, a loop error froze the line. She reported it. Twice. Her voice dropped. They ignored her, said it was her fault. Klein said nothing. They laid off 100 workers. She was the first. Mia's fingers curled. She came home crying. First time I ever saw her like that. She blamed herself. Even though I knew it wasn't her. She pulled the bent spoon from her pocket, held it up. "I started building these with what we had. I needed to understand what happened, needed to fix it so no one else would go through what she did." Klein's voice was quiet now. "You did all that because of her?" Mia nodded. "I'd sit by her feet while she patched her uniforms. I'd sketch circuits on the back of her pay stubs. And every time she left for night shift, I told myself, someday I'll make this stop." Her voice broke. This wasn't about proving I was smart. It was about proving she wasn't broken. Klein sat down slowly. He looked smaller now, older. "I never saw that coming," he admitted. "You reminded me of someone. My sister. She used to sketch physics problems on napkins during her smoke breaks." Mia smiled faintly. "We work with what we have," she said. He nodded. Outside the office, the students passed with backpacks and coffee cups, but inside, it was still. After a long pause, Klein asked, "What will you do with this chance?" Mia looked up. "I'll take it," she said, "but not because you gave it to me. Because my mom held the door open until I could walk through it myself." He smiled for the first time. "Then let's walk." That night, Mia returned to the trailer. Her mom was sitting at the table, sewing again. The light overhead flickered once, then held. Mia dropped her backpack on the floor. "They offered me a scholarship." Her mom froze. "A full one?" Mia nodded. "Harvard." Her mom stood slowly, hands trembling. "I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Mia said. "This is for you." She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded sheet of paper. On it, drawn in pencil, was the first diagram she ever made, the one she copied from the broken interface under the caution tape. "I kept it," she said. "It's not much, but it's where everything started." Her mom held the paper like a photograph. "You're making me proud, Mia. Every day." And in that quiet moment, under the hum of a single light bulb, surrounded by patched clothes, circuit scraps, and coffee rings, a truth settled between them. This wasn't just a story of machines. It was a story of memory, of love, and of a daughter who rewired the world just to prove her mother never failed. Mia arrived early that morning, expecting to find her name on the new roster. Instead, she found a printed notice taped to the lab door. "Temporary access revoked. Pending review." She froze. Her breath caught. Inside, murmurs buzzed. Doors opened and shut. She knocked. No one answered. Her notebook clutched in her hand, Mia turned the corner, only to find 3 students standing in the hallway, arms crossed. One of them, a senior in a Harvard robotics sweatshirt, stepped forward. "Nice show last week," he said. "But everyone knows you didn't do it alone?" Mia blinked. "What? You think a cleaner just walks in and solves Obsidian? Come on, you copied someone's work. Admit it." "I didn't," she said. "I wrote every line. I built every node." Another student laughed. "Then prove it again, from scratch, without that notebook." They stared at it like it was contraband. "I already proved it," Mia said, "to your faculty, to the board." "Yeah?" the first one snapped. "Well, now there's an academic review, and unless you've got 10 witnesses and a miracle, you're not walking back into that lab." Mia's grip tightened on the notebook. "They can't erase me," she said, but her voice cracked. Back at the trailer, her mother listened quietly as Mia explained what happened. "They're saying it's too good, that it couldn't have come from me." Her mother sat down, heavy with exhaustion. "They always say that," she said softly. "Every time someone like us breaks something open." "I don't know what to do," Mia whispered. Her mom walked to the kitchen drawer and pulled out something wrapped in paper. "I didn't want to give you this unless you needed it." She unwrapped it. Inside was Mia's very first model, the foil loop she made from the laundry basket wire and old headphone jacks. "I kept it," her mother said, "because I knew this day would come, when they'd ask you to prove yourself again, and again, and again." Mia stared at the model. It was bent, dusty, but real. She picked it up slowly. "Then I'll do it," she said. "Again, from the beginning." At the review hearing, the room was packed. Professors, administrators, a few students whispering in the back. Mia stood at the front alone. Professor Klein was seated at the table, watching, Silent. The dean began. Ms. Ramirez, this committee has received concerns regarding the originality of your work. You are being given the opportunity to respond. Mia held up her notebook. These pages aren't just diagrams, she said. They're my nights, my weekends, my mother's second shifts, my bent spoons, my broken pencils, my first crash, my first fix. She pulled the old foil model from her bag. This was my beginning. I built the answer by failing over and over, and no one helped me cheat through that. One professor leaned forward. So why didn't you document everything more formally? Because I wasn't part of this system, she said. I wasn't taught how to fit into it. I was surviving outside of it. Klein finally spoke. She's telling the truth. All heads turned. He stood. I reviewed her logs, her sketches, her simulations. They match our private architectures. One's not published. The only way she knew was by seeing. Silence followed. The dean folded her hands. Then let the record show. The work stands. Ms. Ramirez retains her place. Mia exhaled. Outside the students were still waiting, still doubtful. But as she passed them, one voice rose up. A girl, younger, soft-spoken. She's the reason I signed up for engineering. Mia turned. The girl held up a notebook of her own, just like hers, torn spine, edges worn, a new symbol, a chain unbroken. And Mia walked forward, her own notebook against her chest, knowing she had just opened a door that someone else could now walk through. 3 days later, Mia stood in the atrium of Preston Hall. The board had scheduled a public demonstration. Transparency, they said, to settle remaining doubts. But she knew the truth. They wanted to see if the girl from Detroit could still hold her own, with no models, no flashlight, no foil, just code. Rows of chairs filled quickly. Professors, engineers, students, industry observers. Her name was on the screen behind her. Mia Ramirez, independent model author, Obsidian Protocol override. She wore the same patched jeans, same notebook in her hand. But this time, she didn't shake. Professor Klein stepped to the mic. I reviewed the logs myself, he began. Every change, every timestamp, every failure she corrected in real time. This wasn't borrowed, it wasn't stolen. It was built, line by line, from nothing. A murmur moved through the crowd. He turned to Mia. They can't deny it now, he said. Mia stepped forward. I'm not here to repeat what I did, she said. I'm here to show you what's next. She plugged in the terminal, pulled up the training simulator. Obsidian failed because it learned too fast, she explained. It trained so quickly it forgot how to correct itself. I taught it patience. She ran her model. The display split into two halves. On the left, Obsidian's original loop. On the right, Mia's modified one. Cycle by cycle, the crowd watched. The original spiraled. The modified held. Then, a new variable injected. Noise, stress, unexpected feedback. The original crashed. Mia's system corrected, delayed, recentered. The loop held. Gasp. Someone stood. That's real-time correction, without external supervision. Another added, no one's done that outside lab-managed training clusters. Mia tapped the keyboard, brought up the raw logs. Each change carried a timestamp. Every variable matched entries in her handwritten notes. She held up the notebook. This is my work, she said. From the first OSH sketch I made under a broken server, to the model that destabilized your system. I logged every step. One of the students who had accused her stood up, arms crossed. How do we know you didn't reverse engineer our framework? Mia opened the notebook to a torn page, smudged and creased. This entry's dated 6 weeks before the first publication of your framework, she said. I mailed it to myself, sealed, postmarked. She pulled the envelope from her bag, still closed, the official seal intact. Klein stepped down, took the envelope, and held it to the camera for the entire room. He opened it, pulled out the sketch. It matched the current simulation. Identical. Dated and sealed before your work was published, he said. Undeniable. Silence fell, then applause. It started slow, then louder. Students, professors, even the skeptical ones. Klein stepped to Mia's side. You didn't just fix a broken system, he said. You exposed a broken assumption. That brilliance only comes dressed in credentials. Mia exhaled. Behind the applause, she saw her mom at the back, hand over her heart. Mia raised her notebook. This, she said, is made of a scrap paper, grease stains, and second chances. I built it because I had to. But I'm standing here because I didn't stop. One girl in the front row whispered, that notebook's like a history book. And it was. A cracked spine, a broken pencil still tucked inside, a journey written without permission, but now impossible to ignore. Mia stepped down from the platform. People reached to shake her hand, ask her questions, offer congratulations, but she walked straight to her mother. I kept my promise, she said. Her mom nodded, tearful. I know, she whispered. I saw it the moment they started listening. And in that moment, nothing about Mia felt invisible. She was the story now. The day after the demonstration, Mia found a note slipped under her dorm door. Come to my office, noon. Klein. She walked across the quad in the sharp chill of early spring, wind pressing against her jacket. Her fingers held tight to her notebook, now worn thin, its edges curled like old leaves. Inside Klein's office, the light was low, books lined the walls, diagrams filled the whiteboards. On the desk, her envelope, still opened, rested beside a framed photo of a younger Klein standing with his sister. He looked up. Sit, he said. Mia did. He studied her for a long moment, then pushed a folded sheet of paper toward her. She unfolded it. Full scholarship, 4 years. Research position optional, housing included. Mia blinked. This is real? As real as your code, Klein said. She stared at the paper. You believe in me? I believe in the data, he said, then softened. And in what I saw, in who you are. She looked down. But I don't have, I still need to finish high school. There's paperwork. I can't afford the books. The time. He reached into a drawer, pulled out a thin binder. Already called your principal, he said. You're graduating early. They're sending your diploma next week. Mia's hand covered her mouth. Klein continued. Your mother's job's been reinstated. New position, better pay. I made one call, told them what she helped inspire. She looked up fast. You did that? I owed her, he said. I owed both of you. Mia whispered. Why? Klein leaned back. Because when someone builds a ladder out of broken pieces, the least we can do is hold it steady. Mia clutched her notebook tighter. Then let me keep building, she said. Not just algorithms, real tools. Things people like us can use. He smiled. We'll build this together. Later that night, back at the trailer, Mia laid the scholarship letter on the kitchen table. Her mom stood frozen, still holding a grocery bag. "You're staying?" "No," Mia said, smiling. "I'm moving in." She handed over a housing assignment and a research badge. Her mom shook her head slowly, eyes glossy. "You did this all with nothing." Mia picked up the broken pencil from the counter. "Not nothing," she said. "Just enough." They sat at the table, surrounded by patched up walls, warm food, and a silence too full to name. Then, a knock at the door. It was the younger professor, the one who had defended her early on. "Got a minute?" he asked. Mia nodded. He handed her a manila envelope. "Harvard Innovation Lab, they want your loop model for pilot testing next month." "What?" "Real funding. Hardware team, industrial partner lined up. Your idea is about to go live." Mia stared at him. "I'm not. I mean, I've never even pitched something like this." He smiled. "You already did. Every time you spoke." Inside the envelope was a printed version of her code, diagram overlays, and a letter with the seal of the department. She turned to her mom. Her voice cracked. "Mom, the machines that pushed you out, my loop is going to run them." Her mom stepped forward, held her face gently. "Then make sure they never forget who made it work." Mia placed the pencil beside her notebook on the shelf. Both scarred, both whole, symbols of where she came from. And this time, when she looked at the future, it didn't feel like a place she had to fight her way into. It felt like a place she was ready to shape. The auditorium lights dimmed, then brightened. A hush fell over the crowd. Mia stood behind the red velvet curtain, fingers curled around her notebook. She wore a simple black dress her mom had found secondhand and sewn by hand, stitched with gold thread around the sleeves. On stage, the dean stepped to the podium. "This year," she said, "we welcome the youngest admitted student to the engineering faculty in university history, a girl who turned scraps into systems, kitchen light into code, and doubt into direction." Mia heard her name. The curtain opened. Applause rose like thunder. She walked out, slow, heart racing, the worn notebook clutched against her side. Professor Klein stood in the front row, next to her mother. Her mom's hands trembled as she clapped, eyes full of quiet tears. The dean handed Mia a certificate, Harvard School of Engineering Full Scholarship Award. Then leaned in. "Welcome home," she whispered. Mia looked out over the crowd. She saw faces that once doubted her, some still unsure, but more now with respect. She stepped to the mic. "I don't have a legacy name," she said, "or family connections. I had a cracked notebook and a mother who worked night shifts so I could build wire models on the floor." She held up the notebook. "This is the first and only lab I had. Every tier, every wire, every line, it's written in here." She paused. "And it's still not finished." Back at the trailer that evening, the table was full. Dishes passed between hands. Neighbors from the plant came smiling wide. Her old science teacher sent a card. Mia sat in the corner for a moment, letting the laughter roll. Her mom came over and sat beside her. "You're quiet," she said gently. Mia nodded. "I'm happy, just trying to believe it's real." Her mom reached into the cupboard and pulled something down. A frame. Inside, Mia's first machine drawing, creased, greasy, the one from the broken interface. "I saved it," she said. "Now it's part of the wall." Mia smiled. eyes glassy. "I did it for us," she whispered. Later that night, alone in her new dorm room, Mia sat by the window. The campus glowed outside, yellow light and stone arches. Her new desk had drawers, shelves, real lab space. But on top of it, she placed two things first: her broken pencil and the notebook, the symbols, proof of everything she'd carried. She opened to the last page, blank. She hesitated, then wrote one line: "Start again." A knock on the door. Klein. He held a thin envelope. "This came in," he said. "Didn't go through the system. Someone left it by the dean's office." Mia opened it slowly. Inside, a single slip of paper, typed in all caps: "Your work saved the line. 212 jobs retained. Thank you. Noratech." Mia covered her mouth. "They never knew," she said. "Not until now." Klein looked at her. "They know now," he said. "And so does everyone else." She looked down at the note, folded it, tucked it inside the notebook between her oldest pages, then sat down, opened her laptop, and began typing again. Not to prove anything, but because now she finally had space. She finally had peace. And she finally had a name the world would remember. 3 months later, Mia stepped off the bus in her old neighborhood. The plant was quieter now, not from failure, but from precision. Machines ran smoother, fewer errors, less downtime. She walked past the lot where she used to collect scrap parts, past the alley where she'd first drawn a training loop on cardboard. Inside the factory, the shift manager, Mr. Torres, spotted her and waved. "We kept the system just how you coded it," he said. "Obsidian's running clean." She followed him through the floor. Workers nodded as she passed. "Loop doesn't lock anymore," one woman said. "We don't lose hours waiting on resets." Another added, "My sister was on the list to get cut. They canceled it after your patch." Mia stood still for a moment. "This is for them," she whispered. At the back of the plant, a new terminal had been installed. A wall-mounted screen pulsed with real-time data: error logs, heat levels, training cycles. At the top corner, one line glowed in green: "Ramirez patch active, 96.4% stability." Her mother met her outside the factory gates, holding 2 cups of coffee and a small brown envelope. "Mail came," she said, "from the state board." Mia opened it slowly. Inside, a letter confirming the new software had been officially adopted across the tri-state industrial corridor. More than 70 plants, thousands of jobs, all stabilized by the same code she had once drawn with a broken pencil. They sat down on a bench near the bus stop. Her mother handed her something else. Folded newspaper, front page: "Teen engineer saves $1.5 billion system without a degree." Mia laughed softly. "They still think that's the story?" Her mom smiled. "They'll learn the rest in time." At the community center that weekend, Mia stood in front of 20 high school students. She brought a box filled with wires, batteries, breadboards, and handwritten instructions. One girl picked up a twisted loop of foil and asked, "What's this supposed to be?" Mia smiled. "A start." She handed her the loop, then reached into her backpack and pulled out her worn notebook. "Everything I learned began here," she said. "You don't need perfect tools. You need to believe there's a way through." The students leaned closer. One boy raised his hand. "Did they ever try to take credit from you?" Mia thought back. They tried, she said, but they couldn't replicate the heart. A knock came at the door. Mr. Ellis, a community liaison, walked in with news. "They're naming the robotics program after you," he said. "City Council approved it this morning." Gasps filled the room. Mia's eyes widened. "I'm just getting started," she whispered. Later that night, alone in her dorm, Mia opened the notebook one more time. The last pages were filling fast now. Lectures, systems, new designs. But she left one blank and wrote across the top, "For the next girl." She taped her broken pencil next to it, still cracked, still real, a symbol of everything she carried and everything she now passed forward. Outside, the lights of the campus buzzed like quiet electricity. Inside, one girl who used to clean floors now built foundations, not for credit, but for change. The sun was setting over the rooftops of Cambridge, casting soft gold on the brick buildings below. Mia stood on the rooftop of the engineering hall, her notebook tucked under one arm, her cracked pencil in her hand. Below her, the campus buzzed with evening lectures and soft footsteps on stone paths. But up here, everything was still. Professor Klein joined her quietly, hands in his pockets. "They just finished installing your patch in Tokyo," he said. "A whole new fleet of smart factories going online tomorrow. Your loop's running global now." Mia didn't smile. Not yet. She stared at the sky. "Do you ever worry it'll stop working?" she asked. Klein paused. "All the time," he said. "That's what keeps the good ones moving." She looked down at the pencil in her hand. "I'm scared," she said. "Not of failure, of not knowing what comes next, of being remembered for one moment and nothing after." He turned toward her. "Then don't let that be your last moment," he said. "Keep building, keep breaking things open." Mia nodded slowly. "This is just the start." She handed him the pencil. "Keep this in your office," she said. "I don't need it to remember anymore." Klein took it gently, studied the fracture, the dulled wood. "A symbol," he said. "No," Mia replied. "A tool. One that still writes, even when cracked." Later that week, at a small community event in Detroit, Mia stood before a group of kids gathered on folding chairs in a rec center. She wore her old hoodie, the one with the burn mark from soldering wire loops at age 15. She looked out at the room and said, "Everyone keeps asking how I solved it, like it was magic, like it was luck." She held up her notebook, its edges now laminated to preserve the pages. "I solved it because I was desperate, because I needed to believe my mom's pain meant something, because I couldn't afford to fail." She paused. "But I stayed because someone finally believed I belonged." One girl in the back raised her hand. "What if no one believes in us?" Mia didn't hesitate. "Then you believe first," she said. "You build with paper, with a string, with spoons if you have to. You make them notice." Her mom stood in the back of the room beside Mr. Torres from the plant. Both were smiling, quiet, proud. After the event, Mia walked home alone, cutting through the same alley she used to take when collecting broken radios. Something caught her eye. A boy, maybe 10, kneeling by a busted printer. He had it cracked open, wires exposed, hands greasy. Mia knelt beside him. "What are you trying to do?" "Make it scan again," he said. "It's for my aunt. She lost her copy machine job." She smiled. Need help? He nodded. Mia took off her jacket, rolled up her sleeves, and sat beside him on the cold concrete. Together, they rewired the board using scrap copper and a bent fork. When the light flickered on, the boy gasped. You fixed it. Mia stood. No, she said. You did. As she walked away, he called after her. What's your name? She paused, then smiled. Just someone who used to fix things with broken pencils. Back on the rooftop, back in the lecture halls, back in the corners of forgotten rooms, her name would echo. But in the heart of the story, in the quiet, enduring truth. It wasn't about titles. It wasn't about Harvard. It was about the girl who rewired a broken system because someone tried to erase her and she refused to disappear. And in her silence, and in her sketches, and in her scribbled loops, she left behind a path for someone else to follow.